Hey YouTube, yugioh-ballsdeep. I know it's been a little while, but just been busy. I'm just gonna make a few videos to help people prepare for nationals, so that they know what to decide against matchups, what to expect, and stuff like that. So let's just get down to the video because I got a lot to cover. This video is just basically breaking down the format and seeing what decks are to expect and what decks that you should really just not really care about. To start off, these, in my opinion, are the top tier decks, and these are like plant variants with Reborn Tengu. This deck, you should just really commit like 3 to 5 side deck cards to it, because the deck just does disgusting combos, and when it does get going, it's very hard to beat. Especially with Reborn Tengu, it's just able to recycle everything with Pot of Avarice and basically push out for a lot of damage and put you in tight positions. In my opinion, this is the top tier deck. This is 6 Samurais. When it gets that first turn Sheehan on you, it's just so hard for you to get around. It puts you in a position, it'll make you play differently and stuff like that. And in my opinion, this is why this is the top tier deck. Although it's just, well, it's still the top tier deck. I don't know. Never mind. The deck, even though people don't claim this as the best deck anymore, X-Sabers is still popular in many countries, and I can see why, because it's just very consistent in what it does. High on lay plays, blow up macros, drop Foltro, and just get pluses off of it, and basically like take cards from your hand. So it just has very consistent. It has a lot of consistency with the Dark Soul Searches and Emma's Blades, which a lot of decks don't have, like Samurais and stuff. So it does what it does, consistent. So that's why it remains top tier deck. And another one, last but not least, is Gravekeepers. This deck is in decline, I believe. Like, a lot of people are moving away from it. They just don't like it. I even seen a lot of decks not play Royal Tribute and stuff. They tend to maining Effect Veilers instead. But it's still a very strong contender because it's very cheap to build. And if they do manage to Royal Tribute 2 cards out of your hand, they most likely will win. So be sure to prepare for this, because Necro Valley's a bitch, especially to the plant deck. Okay, so like these 4 are probably the top tier decks, and you should definitely dedicate a few cards to your side deck for. These decks are what I say on the uprising, or like a small majority of the competition will play these cards. Scraps with Reborn Tengu is just amazing. When it busts out Scrap Dragon, Reborn Tengu, pop, get the second Tengu, attack nearly for 4k, that's half your life. And then your opponent has to deal with a Tengu and a Scrap Dragon. It's very hard to do. So, especially with Scrap Dragon's effect, so when it blows up, you'll probably get a Golem back or something, and just like redo the move that is basically going to win you the game. Frog Monarchs, it's just a bit too slow nowadays, and with Effect Veiler around, it just, if you Veiler this like turn 1, then it really puts them in a pinch if they don't get this into the graveyard as soon as possible. But it is a strong contender, because once this has been set up and they have like 2-3 Monarchs in their hand, it will be quite a problem to get around. This deck, I wasn't sure about this. I put it in like a tier 1, tier 2 type thing. Black Wings, although I thought is garbage, it's just apparently it's just doing well. It's done well in France and a couple of other countries. People are still playing this deck with 3-pot dualities and stuff, and it just seems to be doing well, maybe because of Icarus attack or something like that. But it's still a decent deck, I would say. But I really wouldn't worry about this deck. 2 decks that are on the uprising, in my opinion, are Dragons and Karakuri. Dragons, recently, I don't know, at the YCS, some girl played it, and she wins most of her feature matches and stuff, and she's just doing really good with it. And I've seen a lot of people at my locals starting to play this deck, so be worried about it. When they play Future Fusion and they get this guy onto the field, and then they just, the next turn they most likely will win because of the amount of like big monsters they're just throwing out. Karakuris, I don't have any Karakuri cards besides this one. the Karakuri deck is just really good. It just, when it does this OTK, it just wins. It's ridiculous. Like, they keep drawing cards with the level 8 burrito, or whatever it's called. But I still don't like it. But I know I think it's very beatable because of Cyber Dragon. Make sure like you side 2s and Chimera Tech in your extra deck, and you could most likely beat this deck if you just drop the Cyber Dragon down. But be wary about this deck. When it does this combo, it will most likely win. This is elements like the Gemini beatdown deck. I don't think a lot of people in the UK like this deck mainly because we just don't like it. I don't know why. It's just not as good, and to me it just seems too slow. And it's very easy to play around. Like, the only really good card I think in this deck is Gemini Spark, and you could play around that because you could tell when your opponent has it when like they summon this, and like are just begging you to bait out trap cards. So make sure you just try to play around Gemini Spark. But other than that, like, you should still dedicate some cards to beating this type of deck because it is like essentially an anti-meta type deck. And again, another deck that's on the uprising is Zombies, because the last YCS, like, it did really well, and it really has really good cards like Mizuki, Revive King Hadas, and Goblin Zombie, which is just essentially a recruiter, which essentially what makes X-Saber so good. So maybe it has that consistency again, so be sure to worry about this deck because it could cause an upset. These are the decks that I think like a few people will play at Nationals. Not too many, but if you were to lose to them, you'd probably be like pissed or something. Flamville, like, it's pretty weak. It's pretty decent deck. Like, if the Fire Dog beats over things and does this thing, like gets the Flameville Magicians level 8s, and if they do Rekindling, yeah, well, they could like just do some disgusting combos, but I still think it's a bit too slow. You could Effect Veiler the Fire Dog, and like the whole plan is gone. So I wouldn't really worry about that. Other decks are anti-mana type decks. Like, regardless, you will always see these at a big event. People love playing anti-mana for the reason that they like to just fuck up people playing the meta decks. And obviously, you just have to prepare for this. Like, whether it's siding a couple of Cyber Dragons, Dust Tornadoes to hit their back rows, I don't know, like anything. You just always have to be prepared because these cards will always mess you up or fuck you up in any way. Gladiator Beast is one of those decks. It's just declined in popularity, and a lot of people just aren't playing it, even though with the new Fusion Monster it just still doesn't seem that good. But who knows, like, a few people might play it, so just be wary about it. And finally, Lightsworn. Sadly, this deck is just not what it once used to be. Charge Light Brigade going down to 1 just really killed off the deck. Necro Gardener going down to 1 just made the deck didn't have enough protection for itself. And the fact that you mill randomly just gives the deck inconsistency, which is why I expect like not many people to play it, but maybe a kid, and if he does manage to beat you, you'll be very upset. So what can I say? Alright, this is the first part of the video. Obviously I'm going to post up quite a few more. Hope this helps, YouTube. Peace.